But that
pushed.
dude hits hard. Hard. You know they have that punch machine?
What's his power?
190.
Oh,
Francis Ngannou had like 130.
Oh yeah, he got punch power.
The hardest I've ever kicked it with legs. Kicks are way harder. The hardest I ever kicked it was like 152.
He punching 170.
191.
Yeah, more than
191.
It's hard because it's funny. I don't think of it as difficult because like I can skate better, I can walk. So like it's I don't think you're like you can slippery up there.
Alex Pereira has surprised the MMA community with his intense training videos and is locked in to get his belt back at UFC 321. Poden will face Magomed Ankalaev in their rematch and is very confident about reclaiming the light heavyweight title. Alex Pereira said he's fully prepared for the rematch but shares only a small fraction of his training online. He explains that he doesn't want to reveal his techniques to the public, and Pereira adds that most of his hard work happens behind the scenes, as he prefers to keep the majority of his preparation private.
Reassistiu a sua primeira luta contra o Ankalaev? O que você achou dessa luta? O que você pretende, que você poderia mudar, se puder falar, né?
Pô, eu assisti algumas vezes, né? Pô, não assisti tantas vezes que nem as outras, é claro. Acho que foi o suficiente, né? Pra ver ali onde teve as falhas, né? É óbvio que teve algumas falhas ali. A gente tá fazendo treinos ali com a galera, pô, pessoal, boa trocação. Eu trouxe algumas pessoas de fora, não postei muito vídeo dessa vez. Às vezes as pessoas falando lá, pô, tá mostrando muito, tá? Pô, mostrei, ok, 5%. Se tá impressionando isso aí, pô, legal. Legal, 5% tá.
Nick Barnhill breaks down the rematch by saying he doesn't believe Magomed Ankalaev will dominate Alex Pereira more easily this time. He explains that Pereira earned respect early in their first fight, and while Ankalaev adjusted, he never fully took over. Barnhill adds that Pereira may lack Ankalaev's all-around game, but his striking remains among the best in the UFC, even if his weapons were limited in their first meeting.
I'm not of the nature that everybody seems to think Ankalaev is just going to go in there and beat him easier and even faster than he did last time. Pereira did give him some things to worry about. He had his respect early on, and of course that respect started to fade later into the fight, but not fully, because if it did, Ankalaev probably would have pushed on the gas a little bit harder and looked for the finish. Pereira might not be the fighter that Ankalaev is in mixed martial arts, but when it comes to striking, he still is one of the highest level guys in the UFC. He obviously came in the first time with limited weapons, mostly sitting around all night looking for the lead hook. He was also trying to beat the calf up, but Ankalaev did a pretty good job at noticing that, and then as the fight went on, he made that less and less effective.
Nick Barnhill says that if Alex Pereira sticks to counter-striking and doesn't push for offense, he will likely fall behind on the scorecards again, leading to another unanimous decision for Magomed Ankalaev. He adds that Pereira could also choose to take risks in the later rounds and chase the belt, which might set up a late finish, though Barnhill is unsure which version of Pereira will show up.
Pereira doesn't start mixing it up, and instead of waiting for counter strikes, start to bring the offense himself, he will find himself low on the scorecards again. Then we're basically going to look at the exact same fight where Ankalaev wins a 5-round victory, unanimous decision, or Pereira says, you know what, risk it all for the biscuit in these last couple rounds. I'm going to go out there and try to get this belt back. If that happens, I could see a late finish happening, but I don't know which side of the game Pereira is going to come in on.
Johnny Walker also expresses his thoughts on Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev by saying both men are experienced strikers. He believes Ankalaev fights with patience and intelligence, taking his time in building his victories gradually rather than rushing in.
Between Ankalaev and Alex Pereira, you fought Magomed Ankalaev twice. What do you think is the most important thing for Alex Pereira to do getting a second crack at this guy?
Yeah, both guys, they are very experienced. They both are strikers, right? Ankalaev is a striker too. And both have a lot of experience, right? But I believe Ankalaev is very smart, right? And he take his time. He never rush. And he build his winning by step, you know?
Walker adds that Pereira needs to show more aggression, since both men usually fight safely despite being dangerous. He feels the one who takes more risks will gain the advantage. Otherwise, the fight could go to the scorecards again.
But I believe that if Pereira put a little bit more, you know, be a little bit more aggressive, because Pereira also, he doesn't come like rushing people. I think the difference in that fight, who's gonna have more advantage, who take more risk, you know, a little bit more risk. Both guys are very safe. They are deadly, you know, but they're both very safe. And if you both keep safe, he's gonna go for the points again, you know. I believe a title shot, you need to show that you're the champ. You need to finish the opponent, because there's the ultimate reason to become champion, like go there and finish the guy. You know, I believe in finishes, you know, and I'll be happy, very happy if I watch a finish on that fight.
Johnny Walker says he believes a finish is possible in the fight and expects Alex Pereira to be the one to deliver it. If that doesn't happen, he thinks Pereira will have to come back for a third fight to settle the score.
And do we get a finish in that fight? And if we do, is it coming from the side of Alex Pereira?
I believe so, Alex Pereira, or yeah. If not, I have to get back there and beat this guy, no?
Meanwhile, John Wood questions whether Alex Pereira was fully committed to his first fight with Magomed Ankalaev, pointing out that he saw Pereira at numerous events around the world during that camp. He wonders how a proper preparation could have been done under those circumstances. Though, he concedes Pereira may have been working harder than it appeared. Wood believes some details might have been missed the first time, but expects Pereira to come into the rematch with every base covered.
But I'll tell you this, I travel a lot, and I'm at almost every event all over the world, not just UFC, but small shows, big shows, little shows, you know, everything. And I swear to you, when he was in that camp, I saw that dude at every one of those shows. Like, he was at Karate Combat, he's in Australia, he's here, he's there, he's that, you know. And so for me, I was just like, man, like, how are you preparing for a fight, you know, of that magnitude, like, while you're away for a week, while you're away where you're this? I would see him training in the training rooms, you know. And it's just, I just don't know that you can put a proper camp in. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe that's what works for him. And maybe that wasn't the case. Maybe I was only seeing him for a day or two. Who knows? But it just seemed like he was everywhere during that camp. And I feel like that maybe there was some T's and I's that weren't dotted and crossed. And I think that obviously he probably learned from that and is going to come back and make sure that all that stuff is, all those bases is covered for this one, if that was the case.
On the other hand, Magomed Ankalaev warns that the rematch with Alex Pereira will be easier than their first encounter. He points out that winners usually have the edge in second fight and expects Pereira to learn that lesson. Ankalaev says he feels comfortable in every area, striking or grappling, and plans to control the fight with whatever strategy is needed while keeping his defense tight.
Каким ты видишь повторный реванш, как он пройдет?
Ну, я думаю, реванш пройдет намного легче, чем первый бой, так как статистика говорит всегда, реванши со мной выходить это очень опасно. Я думаю, мы подтвердим то же самое, что со мной не стоит выходить на реванш.
Может быть, в этот раз вообще не стоит пытаться перевести Алекса, потому что ты, в принципе, перебивал его стойки.
Все может быть. Я буду делать все, чтобы доминировать. Если бороться, надо будет бороться, биться, стойки. Я думаю, у нас не будет проблем нигде.
Magomed Ankalaev says he wants Alex Pereira at his peak for the rematch, so there are no excuses after the fight. He remembers hearing claims that Pereira wasn't fully prepared the first time and doesn't want that talk repeated. Ankalaev mentions Pereira's training clips of defending takedowns as proof he's working on wrestling, but adds he might change tactics and avoid grappling altogether. He makes it clear that no matter the approach, his goal is to defeat the best version of Pereira and remove any doubt about the outcome.
Тренировок Алекса Перейры, где его там борют, он встает постоянно, то есть очевидно он готовится к тому, что будет вставать постоянно.
Да, вполне возможно, что я не буду его переводить. Может, он это делает зря. Ну, пускай делает, готовится. Я, наоборот, хочу, чтобы он подходил к этому бою на 100% готов, чтобы у него не оставались вопросы по поводу поединка, чтобы не было таких разговоров, как в прошлом бою, что не был готов или что-то было не сделано.
However, Alex Pereira does not expect a trilogy fight to happen. He explains that while the UFC makes the final call and he's ready for anyone they match with him, his opponent's recent loss has likely taken him out of the title conversation.
Out there, you beat him. Are we looking at a trilogy here, or do you think it not necessarily works that way, given your credentials in the sport compared to his?
Yeah, I think the story will be over. You know, it's obviously out of my control. It's up to the UFC, and if they want to do it again, I mean, I'll fight anyone. But you know, to be honest, you know, from everything we've seen, I think with him losing, he's not going to fight for the title anymore.
Michael Bisping reacts to Alex Pereira's view that Magomed Ankalaev wouldn't deserve a trilogy if he loses the rematch, calling it unusual since plenty of people thought Ankalaev won the first night. He explains that under normal circumstances, a third meeting would be expected, but agrees Pereira's argument makes sense if he delivers a dominant win by pushing the pace and finishing Ankalaev clearly. Bisping believes a trilogy would have to happen.
Pereira came out and said, if Ankalaev loses, it's unlikely that he gets another title shot. And that's kind of a statement that leaves you scratching your head a little bit. Let's remember, we all know Magomed won the first one. If Pereira wins the second one, well, of course, you do a rubber match. You do the third one. You settle it once and for all. There could be a little bit of truth to that statement. If Pereira goes out there and smokes him, dominates him from the opening bell, is super aggressive, pushes him away, mocks him, disrespects him, knocks him out cold, he can just say, listen, I had a bad night at the office. Look at what I did. I'm fresh. I'm motivated. I am not taking things for granted. I just destroyed him and made it look easy. If he was to do that, then yeah, okay, maybe there wouldn't be a third match. But if the fight is competitive and if the fight goes to a decision, then 1,000,000% they have to do a rubber match. Of course, Ankalaev came out.
Michael Bisping comments on the unexpected dip in fan support for Alex Pereira, recalling a Q&A in Thailand where the crowd cheered loudly for other stars but fell silent when Pereira's name came up. He admits he was surprised, given Pereira had been Fighter of the Year and always delivered in major fights. Bisping points out how quickly fans seem to move away after a single defeat and says he is interested to see the reaction Pereira receives at the T-Mobile Arena.
A drop-off in support for Alex Pereira. I've said this on another video, but I was quite blown away by this. I did a seminar in Thailand in July, and when I was there, I did a Q&A. There was about 200 people, and they asked me who my favorite fighter was. I said, I don't have one, but who's yours? And I said, I'll throw out some names, and by way of an applause, you guys cheer, and that'll tell me who your favorite is. So I said, Islam Makhachev. I said, Ilia Topuria. Very positive, loud cheer. I said, Alex Pereira. And there wasn't a single sound. Now, if you saw my video where I talked about this before, I apologize for repeating myself. But I was truly in shock because, as I said, he was the Fighter of the Year. He was the man stepping up all the time. And now, all of a sudden, after one little loss, people have jumped off the bandwagon. So I'm curious to see how this goes down and what the reception will be at the T-Mobile Arena.
Michael Bisping highlights both the decline in fan support for Alex Pereira and his view on why Magomed Ankalaev came up short in their first fight. He explains that Ankalaev was overly cautious, keeping his distance instead of pressing the action. Bisping believes that a lack of urgency prevented him from sealing a decisive victory and left the door open for Pereira to edge it out.
Against Magomed Ankalaev, he lost the belt, he lost a decision pretty soundly, to be honest, and he didn't really do much in the fight. He didn't pull the trigger. Of course, he was on an insane schedule. He was fighting frequently. Maybe he was a little burned out, and he was also flying all over the world. And we spoke about this at the time. I did videos on this. He was in Australia. He was all over the place. He was maximizing on the opportunity of being the champion and trying to rake in all the money that he could and just enjoy the moment. Why not? There's nothing wrong with that. However, what comes first is the fights. And I do believe that was a factor in the Magomed Ankalaev fight, why he lost the fight, because he did look a little bit flat.
Chiel-san argues that the rematch between Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira creates more problems than it solves. He questions the purpose of booking it, noting that Ankalaev had already won once, and that there was no real demand for a second fight. Sonnen finds it strange that Ankalaev pushed so hard for the matchup, asking what he truly gains from it. He adds that if Ankalaev wins again, the natural outcome would be a trilogy, which fans never wanted, making the situation feel unnecessary and messy for the division.
If he wins, to be positive on the Alex Pereira side, would you drop the belt and go up? Or
no,
I mean,
no, they won't let him.
Stick around and fight the winner of Prochazka and Roundtree, or
no, he's not going to be in there with Prochazka again, most likely. Who's awesome, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
But he's just not going to be in there with him again. But therein lies a part of the problem. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I don't know what Ankalaev gets if he wins. He already beat him. Nobody asked for this rematch, including Pereira. Ankalaev asked for it. It was a little bit odd. Ankalaev actually got a little bit nasty, calling, but come fight me. It's like, he just did. What is it that you planned that you're bringing the belt this time? I mean, it really was a little bit of a confusing situation. And then to your point, what happens if he comes and picks it up? Well, the right thing to do would be to go to the trilogy. So now you're telling me we not only got to see him fight Ankalaev again, which we didn't want the first time, we didn't ask for it this time. Now you're telling me we might have to see it for 10 more rounds. I'm just sharing. I think it creates more problems than it solves. That's what I think.
On the other hand, Alex Pereira makes it clear he's fully motivated to take the belt back from Magomed Ankalaev, and he reflects on the controversy from their first fight. Pereira admits he wasn't at his best that night, but guarantees a much stronger performance in the rematch. He stresses that a knockout isn't necessary, expressing confidence that his overall skill set is enough to beat Ankalaev in every area.
Back to Magomed, when you see the footage of him going home with the belt that was yours, and all the hoopla and stuff, how does that make you feel?
People say that he won, people say that he lost, people say that I win, like very contested, right? Why you don't give it a draw and a left to the belt?
So you are very motivated to get the belt back.
Absolutely. I can't wait for this moment to happen again, and it's gonna be a very different fight. That day was not the same Alex Pereira, so if come the regular Alex Pereira, it's already more than that. But imagine now if it's different. It doesn't have to be a knockout, but I feel that I have enough game to do whatever I want with this guy.
Alex Pereira assures that wrestling has long been a key part of his preparation, not just something added for this camp. He credits Glover Teixeira for helping shape his style by blending grappling with his striking, and points out that he's been focused on wrestling for nearly 4 years. Pereira admits fans mainly see his striking inside the cage, but behind the scenes, he consistently trains wrestling and grappling to stay well-rounded in the UFC.
Are you upping the wrestling training? Are you doing more wrestling training in this training camp?
And if he's training the same as always trained, a lot of wrestling in our training. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. That's what built him to be who he is in the UFC. It was Glover's style of wrestling, the way that he trained. Even guys go, oh, he keep his hands down, look at his head. Okay, but go and try to hit his head on the fight, see if it's hard, see if you can. You know what I mean? So he just showed things that he wants to show. He's always focused on the wrestling for the MMA training, not only the striking. It's been almost 4 years that he's around here now training wrestling like that, you know what I mean? But that's since day one. He was already an outstanding striker. So Glover helped to put all the grappling together, to put the takedown defense, to put everything, right? So he's constantly trying to evolve.
Heavyweight contender Curtis Blades backs Alex Pereira for the rematch, highlighting his resilience in overcoming injury and fighting through an illness similar to one Blades experienced himself. He adds that if Pereira enters the cage fully healthy, he expects him to come out victorious.
Pereira, because of the injury, and also I heard he had this same illness that I had, and I know how that feels. So yeah. As long as he's healthy, I go with Pereira.
Light heavyweight fighter Modestas Bukauskas gives his take on the rematch and predicts Magomed Ankalaev will come out on top. He respects Alex Pereira's talent but expects Ankalaev to raise his level and stick to his strategy more effectively this time. Bukauskas points out that while Pereira's striking is dangerous, it isn't unstoppable, and he believes Ankalaev's southpaw stance will pose a tough challenge for him.
I still think Ankalaev's gonna do the job. As amazing as Pereira is, I think Ankalaev will even be stepping up his game even more and implementing it even more. I knew the strikes from Pereira's side wasn't quite as much, but I do feel that southpaw style is going to be a difficult puzzle for him to.
Former UFC heavyweight Martin Bude says the rematch is tough to predict, pointing out that Alex Pereira didn't seem at his best in the first fight and could be more aggressive this time. He calls it a 50-50 matchup but admits he hopes Pereira wins and reclaims his belt.
Tough one. That's a tough one to decide. We will see, because Alex Pereira in their last fight seems like something was not right about him, because he was like not like we are usually used to see him fighting. So we will see if he comes in like more aggressive fashion into that fight. So I got that fight like 50-50.
Okay. Who would you give the edge to, though, if you had to pick someone? Who do you think gets...
Similarly, Carlos Prates expects Alex Pereira to win the rematch, noting that Pereira has had time to analyze his previous mistakes. He predicts Pereira will step into the cage ready to secure a knockout.
I think Pereira gonna win. You know, he got a break on his career,
You know, I probably he saw all his mistakes, you know, and fix everything. And now I think he gonna step on the cage and gonna knock Ankalaev out.
And that wraps up today's video. We hope you've enjoyed it. Share your thoughts about this matchup in the comment section, and subscribe to our channel to get more updates about upcoming UFC encounters.